Hi guys, welcome to today's lesson where we are going to use AWS's Managed Streaming Kafka service to create a Kafka cluster and then send messages on and off that stream. It's quite involved, so kind of high level architecture. We're going to have a VPC, which I'll be using my default VPC for the purpose of this demo. We'll have a producer, which will be an EC2 instance. We'll be sending a message into MSK, which is the Kafka cluster itself, and then we'll be reading that message off the cluster using a consumer. I'm actually going to use the same EC2 instance for the producer and the consumer, so conceptually it looks like this, but actually physically it's going to look like this, where I have a producer putting onto the Kafka stream or onto the cluster and onto the stream, and then reading it back off using the same EC2 but the consumer side. So it is a producer and a consumer, but it's physically going to be on the same machine inside a VPC. Okay, so let's get started. First thing we need to do is start a Kafka cluster. This can take up to 15 minutes. So just bear with it. So we're just going to quickly create a cluster. I'm going to call it demo cluster, which is leave the defaults. We'll make it the small instance so it doesn't cost us too much money, if anything. You can take that size right down to 2 gigabits. I'm just going to use 2. You could go for 1 if you want, but I'm just going to go for 2 to be on the safe side. Leave everything else as default. Should be starting up inside my VPC. Yep, subnets. It's just using a security group that I already have. We'll have to go in and edit that in the future. So just leave that as it is. TTL's plain text. Yep, perfect. Let's create that cluster. Okay, that's the cluster off and being created. As I said, it can take up to 15 minutes to create a cluster, so just bear with it. In the meantime, what we're going to do is go and create this EC2 instance that we're going to use for both our producer and our consumer. So as I said, conceptually, it's still separated like this, but physically, we're using one machine to save on some costs. So into the EC2 dashboard, and what we want to do is just create a new instance. So let's go and launch an instance. New dashboard, it's down here. Launch instance. Take the Amazon Linux 2. So make sure we're going to do this all in Linux. So make sure you take the second version. I'm going to pick a T2 large. In demos, I was using something slightly smaller, just as a trial run, but the large seems to work better and spin up a bit quicker. It literally cost me $1 to run this for the entire demo when I did a trial run. So just pick it is my advice for the purpose of this. Just go straight to review and launch. There's no need to click through everything. We're going to launch. Create a new key pair if you don't have one already. So I'm just going to create a new one. So I'm going to call this demo Kafka key pair. Demo Kafka key pair. Okay, download that keeper. That's now in my download, and launch the instance. I'm going to SSH into this EC2 once it's up and running. There's a video on this channel how to do both this from Mac and Windows using PuTTY, and there's plenty of other videos on the internet. So I advise that you stop the video right now if you don't know how to SSH into an EC2, and go look at that. If you do know how to SSH into SSH into an EC2, just carry on with it. So you can see now that my T2 large is up and running, and I'm running out of the London region. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is go locate my terminal. So I'm just going to go up here and type in terminal and start a new terminal session. First thing I'm going to do is CD into my downloads. So I'm going into my downloads folder. Again, videos on this channel on what I'm doing exactly in terms of SSH into the EC2. So just went into my downloads folder. If you go to the connect button, the first thing we need to do is chmod 400, the file that contains our key pair. Mine's in my downloads, so that's why I moved in there. I just copy and paste that in, and that file is ready to go. The next thing I need to do then is SSH into that instance. So if I just select that entire command and enter it in. First time I'm in, click yes. That's me in. So again, video on this channel if you don't know what I just did. Otherwise, let's keep going. Now I'm into that cluster. I am going to set up a few things. So the first thing I need to do is install Java. So Kafka uses Java, the broker and consumer uses Java, so I need to start up Java. So the command, and I'll put all these commands actually on GitHub, so there'll be a link in the description just to a text file, and you can copy and paste them in and change as appropriate, or you can code live with me. So the first command is just sudo to get into the root user, yum install, and we're going to install Java 1.8 .0, so Java 8, and hit enter. Accept everything that it wants to do, and that'll take a few seconds. Almost there. Okay, that's that complete. The next thing we're going to do is go and get Apache Kafka. So I'm just going to copy this in because it's a web URL. So using wget, and again, because we're in Linux, this is pretty straightforward. Just type that in, hit enter, and we'll wait on it downloading. Perfect, that's it downloaded. So if I ls, you can see that there's the tar directory right there. We now need to unpack this. So to unpack this directory where it sits, I'm just going to tar xzf. Should be there. Kafka, yep. Take a few seconds. By ls, I'll have the tar version and the non-tar version. Perfect. Okay, so let's go have a wee look at this cluster, see if it's ready yet. No, it's still creating. So I'm going to pause the video here until this cluster is created. Okay, that's the cluster up and running. That took about 15 minutes all in, so just bear with it, and we'll get there eventually. So let's just go have a wee quick look at the cluster, and then let's have a look at this security group. So the security group I'm using is SG2111. So security groups. Okay, this one here. Now, what we're going to do is edit the inbound rules. So at the moment, it's a very strict custom rule. I'm going to break the rules here, and I'm going to say use any IP. Use my IP from anywhere. So this basically means I've opened this security portal to the cluster fully. You could put this range down slightly and use your EC2 instance public IP, which you can get just from your running instances. So if I go to my running instances, and you can see I've got the one there, our public IP is here. But you know what? For the purpose of this demo, I'm just going to keep it fully open. I'm going to delete everything afterwards, so there's no risk of anyone hitting that cluster. So yep, you need to open up to all traffic, and I've let that be open to anywhere in the world. So that's that up and running. The next thing we need to do is go back onto our desktop. So I'm just going to minimize this slightly. I'm going to leave this SSH session open on the EC2 up here, and I'm just going to start another terminal window. If you're on Mac, you need to start another PuTTY session, but leave your current EC2 session open. Okay, so what we're going to go and do here is use the clustered ARN to go get the Zookeeper connection string, which is going to let us set up Kafka. So to do this, you have to have the Amazon CLI tools installed. If you don't have them installed, again, there's a video on this channel on both how to do it for Mac and Windows. Please go look at them. Once you have them installed, join us back. So it's AWS Kafka. Yep, AWS Kafka. Describe hyphen cluster region. So the region you're operating out of. I'm in EU West 2 today, which is the London region, and then it's cluster with those two hyphens at the start, ARN, and then you need to go get your cluster ARN. So your cluster ARN, if you go to your cluster, I'll have your ARN sitting right there. So just copy that and make sure you can get back onto your terminal session. That's me, and hit enter. Sorry, forgot to put in double hyphen region there. So just put in double hyphen for the region, then hit enter. There we go, that's better. Cluster ARN. So we're looking for the Zookeeper connection string, which is this big long thing here. So with this in mind, I'm just going to copy and paste this out because I'm going to need it. So I might as well copy and paste that out onto a clipboard or anything else that you're using. So I just have a clipboard off to the right hand side here with my notes. So I'm just going to copy and paste it in there for later reference. Must remember to take it out from the command strings before I put it up on GitHub. I'll leave that session open as well. No harm done. Now I'm back in at this this root directory. I'm just going, or not this root directory actually. I'm back in at my EC2 home user directory. I'm just going to cd into that Kafka directory, and then from here I'm going to run a a command that starts Zookeeper or creates a topic using Zookeeper. So I'm not going to sit and copy and paste this whole thing out, but I again will put this up on GitHub. So I'm just going to copy this down to here for a little second, and then where I have the Zookeeper connection string, I'm just going to replace that with the connection string I just grabbed from my console, which is that. And then I want a replication factor of 2, and then I'm just going to copy and paste this whole thing in. Otherwise it just gets a bit messy, so I'll copy and paste it in, and I'll run you guys through the command. So we're going into the bin file. We're using the Kafka topics file to essentially log into the Zookeeper node that using this connection string on Amazon, and then we're just going to create a topic with replication factor of 2, 1 partition, and then it's going to be called AWS Kafka tutorial topic. So if I hit enter, should bounce back, topic successfully created. Brilliant. Great. Okay, so what do we do next? We want to obviously produce and consume data off that stream. So I'm just going to clear up my terminal. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is then essentially use the trust store to create messages between a producer and our cluster. So this is a wee bit involved. So the first thing we're going to do is basically copy over some of our Java folder into our trust store of Kafka. So if you're using Amazon Linux, what we have to do is go and find our Java runtime, take a note of it, and then we'll use it for this command. So if I cd back up, see where we are, cd back up. Okay, so we're here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is sudo su, and then that's me as the main user. And then I want to go to my root, so I'm just going to cd up to root. Actually, I'll take pwd so I know where I am. So just remember in home EC2 user. In fact, copy that out if you think you're not going to remember it, and just again make a note of it. Text pad is always handy in these situations. We're going to cd up to the root. I'm going to ls from there. What we really then should be doing is going into our user folder. So cd into the user. If you ls, and then you want to cd into the library, should be there, and we should have a Java folder sitting. So it's Java 1.lib library, and then we want to go to the JVM. Yep, JVM is there, so it'll be cd JVM, and then now we're in the Java virtual machine. That's ls, and you can see that I have this Java open JDK, so I'm going to use that. So copy that out, and again, handy to have a text pad off to one side. I'm just going to copy and paste that in. Then what I want to do is cd back into root. I want to ls, make sure I'm in that home directory. Okay, and then what I want to do is then cd into that home directory, cd into that home directory, cd into home. So if I can type ls, and then there's our EC2 user, so you just cd into e, and then if you hit tab, it'll come up quickly. Oh, and then if I ls, we're back into here, and then I'm just going to exit that root user. If I ls, yep, we're back to where we were. Okay, bit convoluted. All I was doing there was getting the name of the Java runtime from the JVM. Okay, so back on our text pad, what we want to do is then take the user trust store command, which is a copy command that's going to take our trust store from our Java. Where it says Java folder, you want to replace that with the Java OpenJDK name that we just got from that whole maneuver inside our Linux machine. So we just copy that. And what we want to do then is go back onto our, just going to clear this to make it clear. Just go back onto our session, CP that. Okay, that's copied that across. Excellent. Then we want to ls. We want to cd into the Kafka area. So if I hit K and tab, it'll come up. We want to ls, and then we're going to, that's just lists our folders. Then we're going to cd into the bin. Okay. Now we're in the bin, ls. Now we're in the bin. We have to create a client properties file that's going to contain some security protocol and the trust stored location, i.e. that temp directory that we just fired our Kafka details into. So it's going to create a folder that tells Kafka where the client trust store is from Java. Right, so I'm going to use Vim. Some people don't like Vim, but if you follow my commands, I promise we'll know how to exit Vim. So type in Vim, and then we're going to call this file client.properties, and make sure to spell it right, because naming is extremely important at this point. So properties, properties, perfect. Hit enter. We're in Vim. No one panic. First thing to do is hit I for insert mode. Then we're going to type in security dot protocol equals capital SSL. So security dot protocol equals capital SSL. Hit enter for a new line. Then SSL dot trust store dot location. So our trust store location for our SSL is equal to / the temp directory / Kafka dot client dot trust store dot JKS Java key store. There we go. So let's just double check that again. So our security protocol is equal to capital SSL. SSL.truststore.location is equal to temp / Kafka client trust store JKS. Okay, the next thing to do, because we're in Vim, is to hit colon. Oh, sorry. The next thing to do is hit escape. Then we need to hit colon. Then we need to hit W to save and hit enter. Then we need to hit colon again and we hit Q, and that's us out. So always remember colon Q to quit Vim. And then if I ls in this directory, you can see that there's a client.properties file. And then if I cat that file, let me see the contents of that file, you can see that security.protocol equals SSL, and you'll see that SSL.truststore.location is equal to the temp / Kafka.client.truststore.jks. That is an absolute mouthful to get that out. Okay, so what we're going to do now is go get our bootstrap broker string TSL so we can actually start creating some messages. So back onto my local machine and then back onto the console with the CLI tools, I'm actually going to go get the bootstrap broker TLS string. So to do that, believe it or not, I need to run AWS Kafka get hyphen bootstrap hyphen brokers, so the bootstrap brokers, the region I'm in, so it's for / region EU West 2 for me. Change your region to what it is, cluster hyphen ARN, and then use your cluster ARN, which I have put down somewhere, and I'm just going to have to go grab it. Yep, grab your clustered ARN. Too many things open. And then just paste it down into your text window. Hit enter. Oh, clustered ARN, not cluster ARM. 2 seconds. Clustered ARN. Hit enter, and you can see that the bootstrap TLS string is right there. So I'm just going to copy this back into my notepad, which I have over here open. A lot of copying and pasting in this. Let's make a note of that. Back on to this SSH client. What we need to do then is run a command that's basically going to create a producer for us. Okay, back on the text pad, then what we need to do is grab this producer. Make sure you get it all, including that dot. And then using the TLS that we just copied and pasted in from here, replace the bootstrap broker TLS there. So as you can see, this bootstrap, it's expecting the TLS string, so just replace it. That's all I'm doing, cutting that out, copying it in, copying this full command back into the SSH session one, which is here. So I've just cleared that screen. And if I ls, you can see that I'm still in that bin folder with the client properties file. Create that topic. Our topic's created, so it's now expecting me to enter a message. Okay, so to enter that message, let's just clear this all down a little bit. To enter that message, let's just say test message 1. That's now on our cluster on our stream. Test message 2. Okay, test message 3. Perfect. So we sent 3 messages, but we need to get them off. So back into my other session. The next thing I'm going to do in this is cd into my downloads folder. We're almost there. We're almost there. We're 2 minutes away from picking up these messages. cd into the downloads folder. Back onto the console. Back into EC2. I'm going to log in on a separate session back into the same EC2 instance. So if you remember, we now have our cluster up and running. I have my producer on the EC2. I'm sending a message to the cluster, and I'm about to create a consumer to go pick it up. So in my downloads, because my key pair file is there, I'm going to paste that in. Oh, yep, that's fine. I actually got in, even though it was wrong. I need to cd. I want to ls where I am. I want to cd into that Kafka folder. So it's that and a tab. ls. I'm in the bin, so I want to cd into the bin. Okay, now we're there. Perfect. Okay, last command. I absolutely promise this is the last command. So if we just grab that text pad again, and we see that there's a consumer command, so you can see that it's looking for the consumer config and it wants that TLS string. So if I copy that whole command down again, just at the bottom for clarity, and then we again go and get that TLS command. So I've got it right here, so I'm just going to copy and paste it from here. That was the producer one. This is the consumer one, and if we copy and paste it in, not into this session, that's my message session, so not the message session, the other session that I literally just started up and have managed to take off the stream, this one. So if we take this session, and what I'm going to do right now quickly, just minimize all this, into this session, and we run it. Because of the from beginning command, I'm asking for all the messages from the beginning. There you go. Test message 1, 2, 3. So this is my consumer, or my producer. This is my consumer. So in theory, now we're up and running. Let's put in test message 4. And in a few seconds later, it's coming off the string. So let's just try one more time. This was a good demo. For more information on AWS and free lessons, please visit johnnychivers.co.uk. And let's see if that worked. There we go. So that was quite involved. There's a lot to it. I will put the commands up on GitHub with a link in the description, so you can copy them, paste them in, and then replace the different properties as you go along. On top of that, all this information and plenty more is free on my website, as I said in the message, johnnychivers.co.uk. And until next time, happy streaming.